Families are supposed to lift you up. They're supposed to be the people who see your effort, your progress, and your worth, even when the rest of the world doesn't. But what happens when the people who should be cheering you on are the very ones tearing you down? For as long as I can remember, my mom has compared me to others, my cousins, my neighbors, even my own friends. "Why can't you be more like them?" she'd say. It didn't matter what I did. It was never enough. My older brother? He was the golden child. My mom bragged about him constantly, his career, his car, his vacations. And me? I was trying, according to her, but always falling short. It hurt, but I learned to live with it. I worked quietly, kept my head down, and tried to stay focused on building my life. I wasn't flashy. I didn't talk about what I was doing behind the scenes. I believed actions spoke louder than words. But my mom only saw what she wanted to see. If I wasn't showing off, she assumed I wasn't doing anything. And that all came to a head one evening at a family dinner. We were sitting at the table, my parents, my brother, a couple of relatives. The food was on the table, the wine was flowing, and of course, the conversation turned to achievements. My brother was talking about his latest promotion. My relatives were discussing their kids' college acceptances. Then, like clockwork, my mom turned to me. "So," she said with that tone of hers, "what's new with you? Still figuring things out?" I smiled politely and said, "Work's going well? I've been keeping busy." That wasn't good enough. She scoffed and shook her head. "Busy with what? You're in your late 20s and still don't have much to show. Honestly, sometimes I wonder if you'll ever get it together. You're kind of a failure compared to your brother." The words hit me like a punch. A failure. She said it out loud at the dinner table, in front of everyone. I saw my brother smirk into his glass. My relatives looked down awkwardly. For a second, I wanted to disappear. But then something inside me snapped. Because while my mom was sitting there calling me a failure, I knew something that nobody else at that table knew. Something that would change the way they looked at me forever. You see, for the past 2 years, my parents had been struggling financially. The kind of struggling they didn't want the neighbors to know about. My dad's hours were cut at work, and the bills started piling up. Mortgage payments, utilities, taxes, it was all catching up to them. One night I overheard them whispering in the kitchen. They were on the verge of losing the house. My childhood home. The place my parents had built their entire lives around. My mom was crying. My dad was saying he didn't know what else to do. That night, I made a decision. Even though they'd never given me the same love and support they poured into my brother, they were still my parents. I couldn't stand by and watch them lose everything, so I stepped in, quietly. I rearranged my finances, I picked up extra work, I cut back on things I wanted, and every month I sent money directly to cover the mortgage. Not once, not twice, but every single month for almost 2 years. By the time it was over, I had paid a total of $61,000 to keep their house afloat. $61,000. My hard-earned money. And I never said a word. Why? Because I didn't want credit. I didn't want praise. I just wanted them to be okay. But as I sat at that dinner table, listening to my mom call me a failure, something inside me burned. How dare she? How dare she look me in the eye and belittle me, when the only reason she was even sitting in that house, eating at that table, was because of me? I took a sip of my water, steadied myself, and looked at her. "You know, Mom," I said, my voice calm but sharp. "It's funny, you call me a failure. Because for the past 2 years, while you've been bragging about Daniel's promotions and vacations, I've been paying your mortgage." The room went silent. I let the words sink in. Then I continued. $61,000. That's how much I've given. quietly, month after month, without asking for anything in return. If I hadn't stepped in, this house, the one we're sitting in right now, wouldn't even belong to you anymore. My mom's face went pale. My dad froze with his fork halfway to his mouth. My brother's smirk vanished. My relatives exchanged wide-eyed glances, and in that moment the power shifted. I wasn't the failure anymore. I was the reason they still had a roof over their heads. The silence at the table was suffocating. You could have heard a pin drop. Finally, my mom stammered, That's not true. You're exaggerating." I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and slid it across the table. "Go ahead. Look at the transfers. Every month, directly to the mortgage company. All 61,000 of it." Her hands trembled as she scrolled. My dad leaned over, his face turning red with shame. "My brother?" He didn't say a word. For once, he didn't have anything to brag about. The relatives looked stunned. One of them muttered, "Wow." I leaned back in my chair, calm now. "So, if I'm a failure, I guess this house belongs to a failure. Every dinner you've had here, every night you've slept under this roof, it's all because of me." My mom's eyes filled with tears, but I didn't feel bad. Not this time. Because for years, I had been made to feel small, invisible, like I wasn't good enough. And now, the truth was out. The rest of the dinner was awkward, to say the least. Nobody knew what to say. My mom tried to change the subject, but the energy had shifted completely. I wasn't the quiet one in the background anymore. When the evening ended, I stood up, put on my coat, and said, "I'll let you all finish the meal. I've got things to do. After all, failures stay busy." Then I walked out. That night, my phone buzzed nonstop. My mom texted apology after apology. My dad called twice, but I didn't answer. My brother even tried to joke about it, but I ignored him too. Because here's the thing. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't screaming or fighting or making a scene. Sometimes, the best revenge is the truth. Cold, undeniable truth. I didn't need their validation anymore. I didn't need to prove my worth. I had already proven it, to myself. They could call me a failure all they wanted, but I knew the truth. Without me, they'd have nothing. And now, they knew it too. So the next time you feel underestimated, overlooked, or disrespected, remember this: actions always speak louder than words. And when the time is right, the truth has a way of silencing everyone who ever doubted you.